Yo, what's up, guys? Today, I just wanted to bring a video about like how to level your alts efficiently without getting boosted. I know there's a lot of videos out that are just like, hey, well, if you want to level up the fastest, get someone that can carry you in T4 and then run it. Well, I'm here to tell you there are easier ways to get level 50 and then kind of push on through the fact that you have a main. So if you have a main, any rares that you find, you can run on World Tier 3, or you can run on World Tier 4, and any rares that you find, you can put in the stash. Any legendaries you find, you can put in the stash as well. So, like, for example, I have some very high disobedience rolls on some Ancestral gear, and I have some pretty high Edge Master rolls on some Sacred gear, and I can put that in the stash and give it to my alts. And why this is important is because if you already have the high roll on your main and you're trying to kind of carry over some gear to your alt, you can farm any rares that you need for your main and then you can send them over. So personally, I'm able to farm Sacred gear now, which is very helpful for me because around level 38 I came into World Tier 3 on my Rogue, and I was able to pretty much clear, and you can see I don't really have much of a problem killing this stuff. It's all fairly easy to kill. I'll just kind of show you guys like what's going on. And for the Sorceress, it was a lot faster as well. So the Sorceress was able to clear this stuff way easier than my Rogue. But I'm having an easier time on my Rogue because there are some things that I didn't do that I should have done personally on the Sorceress that I learned from playing the Rogue. So, and one thing is to make sure that you're always enchanting and upgrading your gear. And the reason that is because you get such a massive DPS and damage reduction from having upgraded gear that you don't really realize how much you're missing out on. Now, the speed at which I'm clearing this is not as fast as I could clear World Tier 2, but the amount of experience that I would be gaining is way more than the amount of experience had I not swapped world tiers. So one thing I could say is just some things will one-shot you, so you do have to play a little bit more cautiously. But overall, the speed at which I level is way faster. And the cool thing about upgrading my gear throughout this entire time is that whenever I salvage these like lower pieces, whenever I salvage them, I'll get them back, and the mats that I put into them, I'll get the mats back, and pretty much be able to slowly work my way up. So even like now, like as you see, I was holding onto these gloves because these gloves were better, but then I just got these gloves, which is a higher item level, and then I can roll the stats that I need. Now, looking at just the item level alone, this is like 50 item level higher, so you're getting a lot of defense. This roll on the gloves, though, is a very good roll. So just like little things like that, I wouldn't necessarily worry about the secondary stats as much as I would just the defensives you're getting. But like getting pieces like this that I can't wear yet, like I'll be able to put on all of this gear at I'll be able to put all this gear on at level 45. Some of it says level 48, but like these pieces of gear I'll be able to put on very soon because I'm farming them even though I'm not like at the required level to wear them. I'm able to clear this stuff pretty quick. Now, obviously, open world farming is not going to be the way to go. You will want to go to dungeons. And one thing I would say is chasing Gathering Legions events. So the reason I would say chasing Gathering Legions events is because when you start to see them pop up, what you'll want to do is you'll go and you'll click that campfire until you get 15 stacks of the EXP buff. Then you will come over here. You'll check out your consumables. I ran out. I've already drank all mine, but you can make elixirs, and they're very cheap. And the elixirs, and the reason that making elixirs are very easy is because the mats that you've already farmed throughout your second playthrough, your third playthrough, even your first playthrough, carry over onto your materials and stats. And if you look, you have all the materials that you were given on your main. You have them here. So you can come over to, where is she? Right here. You go to the alchemist, you craft however many potions you feel like you want to get. There is no wrong answer for crafting an amount of potions because you're going to use them. You come over here, you talk to the alchemist, craft elixirs. There's 36 elixirs. So you can craft any of the smaller ones. The higher ones don't give any more experience gain, so we just want to go with whatever we can make the most of. So that's the weak third eye with 25. So we can make 25 of these. Let's just make like 10. Now we have 300 minutes of 5% experience. These do persist through death. So you make your potions. You have those. If you're just going for experience, I wouldn't say you have to worry too much about the world boss. The world boss isn't really giving a lot of experience. What you do want to do is you want to go to dungeons and farm, I would say farm the Grim Favor dungeons, because the Grim Favor dungeons are going to be your best bet for double dipping. So you'll be able to collect your reward here. And although it might not be best for experience with like the World Tree, you are getting the loot that you need to pretty much progress even further. Another thing is always upgrade just upgrade all your gear. The rings aren't necessarily as important because you just want the legendary aspects on them, but upgrade your like actual gear. And because, like here for example, you want to upgrade this as much as you can because you want the weapon DPS on your primary attacks. Same for barbarians. You want to upgrade whatever weapon you are using for your abilities because it's going to go based off the weapon DPS of what you're using. You want to upgrade your armors because the more armor you have, the less damage you take. And like these small things are very important. One thing I would say is get all your aspects. If you're going to be an altaholic, focus on your main, get every aspect. If you don't have an aspect, if you just click on the grayed out one, it'll give you the option to track them. I can't show you this because I do have all of them, unfortunately. But if it's grayed out, it'll say track. You can just left click, you'll track, you'll pull up your map, and it'll put a marker on the map. Even if, like, say the dungeon you haven't ran is this one up here at the very top because it's in a stronghold, like, it'll pin it. You'll come up here, you'll see that you haven't done the stronghold yet. You'll do the stronghold, and then you'll unlock the dungeon, and you never even had to explore this area. So that's one really cool thing you're able to do. Let's see, what else can you do for your alts? Something that maybe I haven't thought of yet, and that I might be forgetting to go over. No, I actually think that's pretty much it. Just farm your dungeons, keep your experience potions, get your campfire buffs, because you will be able to see the Gathering Legion whether you have explored it or not. Example with the world boss, I can see that the world boss is going to spawn right here even though it says undiscovered. Make sure you have all your renown as well on your mains. So that's one thing that I would say is getting renown 5 isn't as important, but getting to 3rd renown if you're going to be playing alts is super important, because right when you start at level 1 you have 6 points that you can put, and it makes World Tier 2 a breeze. You don't want to do World Tier 1. If you're looking for speed, you get your 6 extra points. With 6 points, what could we get? on our tree. So if we had 6 points here, you get the first 2 you could put here and here, or wherever you want to, here and here, wherever. If you have a strong bow, you'll want to go forceful arrow, because one thing that you can do is play around your gear. Don't play around what you think is going to be a good build. Play around the gear that you currently have. So if you have a really good bow, so this one's 471, but this is 476 and 466. Like, the weapon DPS on this is 651, whereas the weapon DPS on this and this is a combined over, 700, roughly at 700. So I'm getting more benefit out of using, like, my twisting blades, and I'm getting more damage from my weapons with my death trap. Like, these are the kind of things that you want to, like, focus on. So if I would have had a crazy strong bow, which I did when I started, and I initially started with I had forceful arrow, and I had penetrating shot. So at level 1, I had a yellow crossbow. Level 1 with a yellow crossbow was the best thing I could do. So instantly I allocated my points to building arrows, because, like, just looking, you have so much more weapon DPS with, like, say, twisting blades. So at that point I had way more weapon DPS for penetrating shot, and I was one-shotting world tier 2 at level 1, pretty much anything, even elites I was one-shotting. So kind of focus on the gear that you currently have, and if you can use your alt to funnel or if you can use your main to funnel your alt gear, that is very important. Also, like I said, with your aspects, you just craft baseline aspects. And another cool thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, but if you come over here, I'll show you. If you come to the aspect person, the occultist, let's say you have imprinted a legendary. So this one right here is imprinted. I imprint this. I can put it back in. I can grab an aspect from my inventory. So let's see. Okay, so this one's imprinted. I can grab an aspect from my inventory that I have that would be better. So this was just a Codex of Power aspect. This is a fairly decent legendary. It was a legendary before, but it didn't have Edge Masters. I think it was this one. Actually, no, it destroys item. But if you put this here, you can change, even though it's imprinted, you can change the aspect on an imprinted legendary to give it the imprinted of the new aspect. So don't be, like, scared to imprint your legendary or imprint all your gear as soon as you get it. Like, get a level 1 piece, a level 1 rare at, if you need to spend some of your obols because you're capped out. Like, I had to buy some Whispering Keys, as you can see, because I was capped out. I can hold 1,000. I had to buy 5, so that's 100. I'm able to kind of risk a little bit of my obols to go for, like, a rare of any kind of piece. One thing that I would say is, if you want damage multipliers, kind of roll for your amulets and your rings and your weapons. But if you want defensives, like Disobedience, you want to kind of try to look for a yellow helmet. At level 1, you can get this. So I would say kind of look for the pieces of gear that you need, imprint them instantly. Right as you get them, go imprint them, because you're looking at like 50% damage bonus off of one imprinted rare. So take your imprints, put them on your gear, go and blast as high of content as you can. At level 38, I was able to clear World Tier 3. And even now, if I wanted to, I could go in and do this Tier 4 Nightmare Dungeon. And it would be hard. I'm not going to say it would be very easy. But, like, I deal 10% more shadow damage. That is going to be really good for me, who does shadow damage. Now, I can't do a Tier 14, that's bonkers, but I can do a tier 4. And if you guys want, I can pretty much go over every class. If you want your class to be like showcased, let me know. I'll make your class. I'll stream at level 1 and kind of show you the process that I go through in order to get to World Tier 3 the fastest. So for this guy, it was level 38, but rogues are a lot squishier. So if it was for like a Necro or a Barb, I could probably go into World Tier 3 at like level, probably like 32 or 30, like in that area, and pretty much clear any content very, very fast. Because two-handed weapons roll very high DPS, you're able to go like Upheaval build or Hammer of the Ancients build and imprint the aspects for that class. So let's see. For example, Sorcerer. While Incinerate, your burning damage is increased by 20%. Baseline. Your damage is increased by 20% as long as you're casting Incinerate. So if you put Flame Wall on the floor and start casting Incinerate, you're doing 20% more damage overall. Necromancer, you do 30% more shadow damage to enemies afflicted by both Decrepify and Iron Maiden. So here, you can go a shadow ability and 2 curses, and then blast. Like, it's small things like this that you don't realize actually increases the damage that you do by a ton. Let's see. This will increase your AoE. Penetrating shot damages enemy, 2 additional split off. So you could clear fast. Penetrating shot shoots through enemies, so penetrating doesn't split. Like, after swapping weapons 10 times, you wouldn't really use this, but if you were using a flurry build, you could go flurry, Hammer of the Ancients, flurry, Hammer of the Ancients, and then you would pretty much do a lot of damage all at once, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm just saying, like, there's definitely aspects in this list that would increase your damage substantially, even being baseline aspects. So just kind of take that into consideration. Like Hammer of the Ancients, Quakes Outward, that is a really good one for AoE clear. Hammer of the Ancients does a lot of damage. And another thing to look for is go into your skills and see the percentage of damage that it does from your weapon. So for example, this one does 21% weapon damage. This one does 30% weapon damage. This one does 100%, 101% after it pierces, and the first half does 63%. This one does 60%. This one does 70%. So take that into consideration when, like, deciding what ability you're going to use, because it's going to go based off of the damage that you do. So Poison Trap, 344% over 9 seconds. Like, you're doing a lot of damage. The other 2 don't really do damage, so you don't really need them. Or the other 3 don't do damage. But, like, this one is damage reduction. Like, it's really good. So just kind of play around what it is that your class has and the availability to you. That would be my biggest thing. So if there's anything that you have like questions for, and if you need to know anything, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what class you play, and if you need a personalized video, just tell me, like, hey, can you show me how this works on Necromancer? Can you show me how this works on Druid? And tell me, like, what you want to build, because at the start you don't really care what your build is. So now that I'm pretty much kind of like solidifying my character, you know, I know that I'm going to be going the Twisting Blades, Death Trap, Poison Trap build. I'm going to be using Exposure. So, like, this is pretty much my done tree. I only have like 3 more points that I'm going to be able to allocate. My tree is pretty much done. At this point, I'm already going to be farming World Tier 3, finishing this guy out to 50, and rocking him out. But let me know what class you want. I'll pop it. I'll literally stream all in one day to get to level 30 in no time, just to show you guys that it's very doable. And you can kind of follow what I do. You can see how I kind of manage, but it's very easy. And if you look in my clan, this guy right here, Skills, he started his rogue yesterday. Yesterday was his first full day of having his rogue, and he was able to get to level 35. And this wasn't even like full sending on. This was like, you know, he was doing stuff. He's at work, like things that he kind of could do differently. Like if you could allocate, you know, a whole day to this, he would have easily been my level. So one day of playtime, you can get completely solo. You can get level 50 without a doubt. So leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, dislike it if you didn't like it. But without any more things to say, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.